Gibson launches the latest Greeny Les Paul, this time with Kirk Hammett's signature on it. And there is one available for the very wealthy and one available for the masses. We're going to show you the second one, so stick around. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name is Chris McKee.
I'm Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas, and you can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos, all that fun stuff, and check out our store linked in our description below for some swag to support the channel. Also, check out our podcast, the Fretboard Confessional. So, like I said, this one is not the uber expensive one. This is a Greeny for the masses. And when I say that in air quotes, it means it's still a pretty expensive guitar. But, you know, this is the latest iteration. It is a Kirk Hammett Greeny. And this is a guitar we're going to talk about. Gibson's done a few times. It's one of the more famous Les Pauls of lore, and named not for its color, but for its original owner, Peter Green. And it's a great guitar in its original incarnation. The latest owner of it happens to be Metallica's Kirk Hammett. And there's been some fanfare, which I was interested about, you know, with him coming into possession and ownership of it, playing it on stage and on, you know, albums and whatnot. And now, you know, Gibson's partnered with him to do this launch, but it's not, I mean, it's a Greeny, but it's not really Kirk Hammett. It's kind of a weird thing. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah. I would probably, like most fans of the guitar itself, probably be pretty upset if there was an actual Kirk Hammett signature or logo on here, and it is nowhere to be found. This is pretty much just a Les Paul.
Pretty much just a Les Paul. Modeled on a very famous Les Paul. And the biggest really kind of departures from maybe a normal Les Paul here are going to be the quality of the top, the finish, the color of the burst, the pickups, and the way the controls work. And the tuner buttons. Because they're different. And that's about it. And so it's named for Kirk Hammett because he's the current owner, and so they've partnered to do this. They have this, and they have a custom shop version, which really is trying to make an exact copy of the guitar in its current iteration as Kirk owns it, and that one's $20,000. This one is considerably less. This one's $19,900. No, I'm just kidding. This one's a cool $15,000.
This one is going for $31.99 right now, and I believe that this is going to be in the collection. I don't think it's like a limited release edition or a special edition. Much like the Slash guitars, you can still order them, you can still get them. This will be around, which is cool. And everybody likes Greeny because of the sound.
So tell us a little bit about the specs. Well, first of all, let's go back to the history. So Peter Green's guitar.
Peter Green on those early, very different than Rumors sounding Fleetwood Mac records. You know, legendary guitar player. I would, if you haven't heard it, Oh Well, perfect example of, you know, Oh Well by Fleetwood Mac. Go listen to that track, listen to Albatross, you know, totally different sound and different band than when Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks came through. But so Peter Green, and then the guitar went to the guitarist from Thin Lizzy after that. And now it's everybody's favorite classic rock Les Paul sound guitar player. You can get a crybaby with this thing if you want to add some wah. But the Peter Green Greeny guitar is famous for the middle position, out of phase sound.
Which, according to lore, he did not do that. It accidentally came from the
factory.
In typical Gibson style. One of
The
their most
one
famous
time,
Les Pauls was incorrectly done from the factory and shipped. So there you go. That's how rock and roll is made, my friends.
So you got a switched around neck pickup, all kinds of science and polarity and, you know, simple Ricks kind of stuff.
Well, and this actually does make sense. You know, so for people who don't get it, you know, you've got the exposed screws, which are adjustable on a Gibson Path style humbucker, and then you've got the other coil that's covered, which is going to tamp down some of the high end from the second coil. And by flipping it, the point that is again adjustable and getting most of the string is now at a brighter section of the string, so it changes it by about a quarter of an inch.
And that's the sound that everybody associates with Peter Green, and it's on those records. You can hear it. I don't love, and I've talked about it before, we've talked about it before, I don't see a ton of places in playing guitar when you need that out of phase sound. And we've seen certain signature models and, you know, Ultras from Fender and all these guitars that are making use of that out of phase. It's something fun to have.
Yeah.
But I think it works better in a more applicable way with humbuckers, because with single coils, J Mascis signature Telecaster, you fall out. It's so thin. It's so small. The volume drops. Like, it's just not a usable sound, in my opinion.
No, it's a really good call because, whenever you go out of phase, so let's talk about that real quick, just to qualify if you don't understand. Typically on a Les Paul, you've got your pickup selection going to 3 spots. You've got your neck with full humbucker, your bridge with full humbucker, and in the middle, it's both pickups in parallel. Okay, so they're both kind of going to the amp together. They're not in series. They're not gain staging for an even louder. It's just both on at the same time. When you do out of phase, it basically switches the polarity on the setup there, and it thins the sound out. When you're dealing with a single coil pickup, which is already a brighter style pickup with more high end than a humbucker, it basically drops the low end girth that a single coil already has less of.
Yeah.
So it's a very thin sound. It can still sound cool, but I've found I only like it when you really increase the gain, because you're kind of counteracting and getting this cool quackiness, but kind of filling out what's otherwise lacking with the signal chain.
You got to give it a little more something.
With this, you've already got the fatness of these unique pickups, which we'll talk about. But with humbuckers, you've already got that throaty mid-range fullness.
Yeah.
And so you're not having this huge bottom fallout. And instead, it just gives you a really cool kind of throaty sound.
Yeah, it's a good sound. These are Greeny Buckers in here, which are the same pickups that are on the $20,000 one. They're the same exact pickups. So maybe go for something a little cheap. I don't know.
Yeah. Wow.
But
That's an interesting call on their part, I'm just going to say.
Yeah.
So
you're basically, these are $3,000.
Hey, for all those guys out there that are like, it's all about the pickups, you just saved yourself 17 grand.
Yeah, that's good. This is hand wired with the orange drop capacitors, as we've seen in the regular original collection guitars. You don't have rhythm and treble on here. It's just up, down, middle, which is totally fine and cool. This is a AAA grade flame maple top.
And it's a satin finish. And so I was saying earlier, the color's very cool. I really like the burst. And by the way, just speaking to history, this would not be how it left the factory. A lot of those colors, it was like aniline dyes and stuff for the reds and everything. Those bursts fade over time. And so, in a lot of Les Pauls, if you pull the pickup covers or you pull the switch, little puck, the little coin there, poker chip. So you'll see a darker color underneath. And that's what this is. So it's basically a replication of a very washed out burst that's over the years with a really nice top. It is a AAA maple top.
It's really nice. You can kind of see it in the light. It's hard to see kind of straight on. But
because it's satin finish, I don't think the top pops as much.
Yeah.
But it feels really nice, which is cool.
So first off, one of my favorite finishes that they do on a Les Paul is the unburst. So this kind of gives me the similar vibe. It's not a real loud top, but it's just pretty. It shows off the wood nicely.
Reminds me a little bit of Lemon Drop.
Yeah,
another one that they do that's similar.
Yeah, I really like those colors. You'll notice that the knobs are different here, and that's not because these fell off when we didn't have any other ones.
It's because that, just like the out of phase, they shipped it from the factory with the wrong knobs?
I don't know.
No, that's not why.
Yeah, I wish.
Do you know why?
No, I don't. I mean,
So-
I'm guessing it got changed over the years.
One of the owners of Greeny over the years was Gary Moore, and Gary Moore switched them out. Now, what's interesting is that supposedly Gary Moore switched them out so that it'd be easier to identify. I'm like, now I'm in my head going, Gary Moore looked down at the controls. I don't buy that.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Otherwise, it's very Les Paul-esque. Maple, mahogany. These are Grover Rotomatics with different buttons.
Different buttons.
But it's not because they didn't have the right ones. This is what's on Greeny right now. So there you go. No scarf joint, so they didn't see your video, I guess.
Not yet. We'll have to send them a copy.
Yeah.
It's got some weight to it as well. So it is non-weight relieved. And maybe they added weight somewhere because it's a heavy guitar.
Yeah, the Greeny Buckers are about 6 pounds each.
That explains it.
Yeah, so this guitar was noticeably heavier than most of the Les Pauls we play, I weighed it. This comes in right over 10 pounds. So I assume many of you just turned off the video
Now, come on, play your guitar and get your workout too.
because we oftentimes find people are looking for between 8 and 9 at the most. This is not for the faint of upper body strength. But it sounds good. I'm not playing any Metallica. I'm not playing any Fleetwood Mac, and I'm not playing any Thin Lizzy. I'm just playing.
Are you playing
a little
some Cooper
something.
Greenberg?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Let's take a listen.
All right, so there you have it. That was Cooper Greenberg on the Kirk Hammett Greeny, originally owned by.
And I actually got an early, like it wasn't supposed to go to me. I got an early press release for this guitar from Gibson. The original name was Gibson Les Paul Faded Out of Phase.
No, it wasn't.
No,
That feels like it was Lauren Ipsum stuff.
This is a faded Les Paul with out of phase pickups, and that's what you're getting.
And an upgraded top.
Yeah. Which is kind of cool, and I like it. It's heavy, but I think the sound is good, and I think you're better off buying this than a $20,000 version.
Well, and if it sounds as good with these pickups, and they're the same pickups that are on the higher end one, that's kind of a no-brainer, unless you are specifically looking for something as a collector's item. I think they made some other interesting choices too. Like, there is no wear on this. They didn't go for any kind of a relic or worn look at all. It doesn't have the pick guard, but they opted to it never had the pick guard. It's not like you have the holes that are there or anything like that. This is, to your point, it's a faded nitro finished Les Paul with an upgraded top and these great pickups and this unique configuration. Yeah. So, if you take Peter Green's or Kirk Hammett's name aside, pretty good guitar on its own. And for the money, $31.99 is about what a Les Paul used to just cost.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think the original collection 50s and 60s are $29.99 right now.
Yeah, but people, if you go back to some of the dark period of Gibson in 2015 when everything had robotic tuners on it and they did a 30% price increase across the board, prices had actually dropped when they kind of corrected all of that, and they're just creeping up with everything else now. Yeah. So, in perspective, they're really not that bad of a buy. And for further perspective, I pulled up the internet's Wayback Machine is one of my favorite things when I have nothing else to do. And I geek out about guitar websites from, back in the day. And, as much as we complain, compared to the rest of inflation, guitar prices have stayed pretty stable.
Yeah. So. You ever go back to Alamo Music's website on Wayback Machine?
That is actually a nightmare that I try to avoid.
It's worse than it is now, which is crazy. Yeah, I did look at some of that stuff. I never knew that the Wayback Machine existed.
So great.
Until recently. And they took the Wayback Machine to old Peter Green.
I use it all the time whenever we get used stuff at a show and I have to find the specs of a guitar.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
That's smart.
Anyways, so cool guitar. It's not limited edition like Cooper said. It's going to be in the lineup. This is the first one that we've gotten, and if you're interested about this guitar, you should go online to our website, which is
alamomusic.com.
You can check out photography. You can talk with someone. You can get all of the answers. You can compare this with a Slash or a normal Les Paul and go, which one is it? Which one do I want to get? I wonder if they'll sell these pickups on their own.
I think they should. I think it'd be cool. My wonder is if they weren't in the out of phase kind of like what makes this
What would
a
it sound like?
grainy bucket versus like
Yeah.
a 490T or something.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I would venture to say that it's more akin to those pickups, which, compared to like my custom shop, the pickups back then tended to be non-potted, lower output, but then you'd get a weird one, like a famous guitar will get tested and then the output's wildly different.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of consistency is really the name of the game. And so when the replications get made, it's finding this pickup that is unique because of the lack of consistency and then trying to be consistent and replicate it.
Yeah.
Which is a whole nother weird, rabbit hole to go down. But if you like this guitar and you already own Les Paul, keep in mind there are some cool things you can do, like the out of phase option. A lot of the moderns have dip switches where you can get that kind of sound, but you can also just wire stuff in, which is a pretty cool option. And if you don't want to do that, just add this to your collection and let this be the guitar you pull out when you want that sound.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so that's all the information we have on the Greeny. If you're new to our channel, make sure that you subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos, and keep coming back for more. We'll see you next time.